On September 19th, 2018, Nintendo launched Nintendo Switch Online, and brought with it a suite of NES games available to play for the first time on the portable console. Unfortunately, when they were designing this magnificent little piece of software, they kind of forgot to add any basic features, like the ability to remap your controls. This in and of itself would be little more than a minor annoyance if it wasn't for the fact that they made the genius decision to map the A and B button to the literal A and B buttons, forcing you to have to hold your thumb at an uncomfortable angle. Some people could live with this, but I just couldn't get past it, meaning I pretty much completely wrote off the Switch as a valid way to play NES games. Fast forward to about a week ago, I'm about to start my playthrough of Kirby's Adventure on the NES. I booted up my Wii U without giving it a second thought. But see, here's the thing. The Wii U Virtual Console is very bad. It's blurry, dark, washed out. I always do my best to fix it in post, but it's pretty hard to work with. Okay, got that? So, I'm sitting around earlier today, and I have the eyes snap wide open, jolt up in bed realization that they added the option to remap controls on the Switch like a month ago. I could have played on the Switch the whole time, and it would have actually looked like an NES game should over HDMI. Of course, this revelation came the night before this video went up, and after 2 full playthroughs, so there wasn't really anything to be done about it. Anyway, I just thought you should know that I'm an idiot, and that I did everything I could to make the footage look tolerable. Okay, so Kirby's Adventure followed up Kirby's Dream Land on the Game Boy, and follows a fairly similar story. King Dedede has stolen the Star Rod from the Fountain of Dreams, making it impossible for anyone to dream. It's up to Kirby to platform his way through 7 worlds and gather the pieces of the Star Rod to defeat King Dedede yet again. Kirby's Adventure looks and feels very similar to the first game on the Game Boy. The physics feel the exact same. You can still run, jump, float, suck up, and spit out enemies. This game also reuses a good portion of the sprites from the original Game Boy game, of course now in full color. Obviously, there are still plenty of new additions, like a slew of new enemies and bosses to fight. By far, this game's most notable addition, however, is the addition of Kirby's copy ability, which is now pretty much his signature power. When you inhale an enemy, pressing down on the D-pad will allow you to swallow it, absorbing its power. Some enemies don't give you anything, but most either give you a new ability, or attack, or equip you with a limited-use screen nuke for taking out baddies. You keep your newfound power until you take a hit, or, unbeknownst to me, until way too late in the game, hit the select button. All of this comes together to make this feel like a true evolution of the original game. Kirby's Adventure is also much longer than its predecessor, featuring 41 levels across 7 different worlds, as opposed to the literally 5 levels present in the first game. And there's a lot more to do as well. This game features a fully fledged overworld complete with plenty of secrets to discover. To unlock certain areas on the map, you'll need to hunt down hidden switches in the stages. Some are relatively easy to find, while others require that you have an ability that can only be found at a different level, impeccable timing and reflexes, and magically intuit that you're supposed to press up on this random tile in the sky. Unfortunately, there's no good way to keep track of the switches you've already found, and they are required for 100% completion, which can lead to confusion. The areas you unlock on the map usually contain a simple mini-game that you can play for extra lives. These are pretty fun, I guess, but you usually need at least 1 play to figure out what to do, and you only get 1 play, so I never finished most of them. One of my biggest complaints about this game comes down to the controls. I mentioned the same problem in my original video, but they come back with a vengeance on the NES, seeing as how they've used the exact same control scheme. It just feels way too easy to accidentally lock yourself into a position that it's way too hard to get out of, like suctioning in the wrong direction or sucking up an enemy over a bottomless pit. Sure, those can be avoided with better gameplay on the part of the player, but with inflating being mapped to up on the D-pad, accidental inflation is pretty much inevitable in more intense moments, which is coincidentally exactly when that kind of thing is bad. And of course, the Wii U version doesn't allow you to remap D-pad controls, so I guess that's something else I missed out on by not playing on the Switch. Honestly, I just kind of got bored with the game after a while, not because it specifically did anything wrong, just because there wasn't really much to hold my attention. I mean, even when the game gets hard, the absolute worst punishment it has to offer is having to play a single stage over again, and that's only if you get a game over. Ultimately, the levels, to me at least, all began to feel kind of samey, like I was just playing them to get through them and not much more. It's a shame too, because there's some really cool level designs here, like the desert in World 2, or the final level that's a throwback to the original game. I just think the game went on a little bit too long for my taste. I really don't want to give the wrong impression. The gameplay and level design is solid, but for whatever reason it just didn't seem to particularly call to me. Which brings me to Extra Mode, returning from the first game specifically to annoy me. The level design and enemy placement is actually unchanged this time around. All that actually changes is that you're dropped to half health. Well, that, and they took away the ability to save! They what? The ability to save isn't part of difficulty design, it's a convenience feature, the absence of which turns the entire game into an endurance test. And not in the good way, in the see how long you can put up with this game's crap before you die of frustration kind of way. That means, if you're going for 100% completion, you have to play the entire game with half health, making sure to find every star switch in one go. I mean, I know tons of NES games lacked a save feature, but this one doesn't. This is just the designers being sadistic. Normally, I quantify complaints by saying that they may or may not be caused by me forcing myself to play games at a certain time frame, but it looks like the Kirby devs took care of that for me. As for going through the game on half health, I guess I died more often. It doesn't really matter that much when dying barely even sends you to the start of the room you're in, and game overs only make you restart the current level. I mean, what else is there to say? Instead of sleeping one night, I got to play the extra mode in Kirby's Adventure. Yay! So, how would I say I feel about Kirby's Adventure as a whole? Overall, I had a decent time with it, even if I didn't find it particularly exciting. The underlying game design was incredibly solid and a worthy evolution from Kirby's Dream Land. If you have Switch Online, you already own this game, and the Switch's sleep mode even lets you take a break during extra mode without the use of save states. Why did I play on the Wii U? If you think you'll like Kirby's Adventure, give it a play, but if not, I honestly don't think you're missing out too much. Well, that's Kirby's Adventure. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to let me know by liking it, subscribing, and commenting down below. Leave your thoughts. I always love reading comments from people and bots. And be sure to follow me on social media, linked in the description down below. As always, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, join my Discord. And I guess that's about all I've got for you. Thanks for watching.